They told you that hard work is the for answer, that if you wake up earlier, grind longer, suffer in silence, and push harder than everyone else, success will eventually be yours. They fed you this narrative like a religion, one where pain equals virtue, where sleep is laziness, and where ambition is measured in burnout. But what if I told you that your so-called work ethic is exactly what's keeping you powerless? Because Machiavelli didn't worship hard work. He studied it, and he understood this brutal truth. The most controllable person is the one who believes suffering is noble, not because that person is weak, but because they're too busy proving their worth to ever question the system that exploits them. This is the hustle trap, and it's not just a cultural lie. It's a weapon. And the more disciplined, committed, and hardworking you are, the deeper it cuts. Let's begin with the first layer of control, turning survival into self-worth. In Machiavelli's world, power wasn't given to those who worked the hardest. It was reserved for those who understood leverage. Yet here you are, trained to believe that effort alone is sacred. You're told to pour in more hours, sacrifice more time, take fewer breaks. You're not lazy, you're loyal. But loyal to what? A machine that benefits from your exhaustion. A system that knows if it keeps dangling the next promotion, the next breakthrough, the next dopamine hit, you'll keep moving and forward like a mule chasing a carrot. You'll never taste. Machiavelli would call this strategic illusion. Feed the masses a sense of meaning through effort, and they won't even notice they're stuck. Not because they're weak, but because they've attached identity to labor. And that's the trap. When your self-image is built on being a hard worker, you'll defend the grind even when it's killing you. You'll attack rest as laziness. You'll see stillness as failure. And, worst of all, you'll despise anyone who takes shortcuts even if they win. Because deep down you've been trained to associate struggle with morality. But Machiavelli would laugh at that. He didn't believe in fair. He believed in results. And he understood. The people in charge aren't the ones working the hardest. They're the ones working the smartest on you. Now, let's peel back the second layer. They make you proud of being used. Think about that for a moment. You clock in early. You stay late. You answer messages at midnight. You say yes when you want to say no. And what do you get in return? Praise, not power. Recognition, not ownership. They give you little rewards like Employee of the Year month, a slightly bigger desk, a coffee, voucher, as if that compensates for the years of energy they've extracted. And here's the Machiavellian twist. You're told this means you're valuable, but you're not valuable. You're replaceable, just conveniently compliant, because true value isn't based on how hard you work. It's based on how hard you are to control. The more obsessed you are with proving your work ethic, the less likely you are to challenge authority, to renegotiate, to walk away. That's by design, because the ideal worker isn't the most skilled. It's the one who believes sacrifice is virtue. They don't have to enslave you. They just have to make you willing. This is what Machiavelli would admire, not from a moral standpoint, but from a strategic one. He understood that if you can convince someone that their suffering is meaningful, you can control them without chains. You can drain them without guilt. You can use them for a lifetime, and they'll thank you for the opportunity. Now, let's get to the darkest layer. The hustle trap isn't just external. It becomes internalized. Even when there's no boss, no deadline, no one watching, you still grind. Why? Because now it's not about achieving something. It's about avoiding the shame of doing nothing. That's when the trap is complete. You're no longer chasing success, you're fleeing guilt. You've been programmed to feel worthless when you rest, lazy when you pause, guilty when you're not producing. And in that mental prison, you become your own warden. You overwork yourself, not because someone asked you to, but because your own self-respect is now wired to exhaustion, and you think that makes you strong, but it doesn't. It makes you predictable, which means you can be manipulated, redirected, commodified without ever realizing it. That's the true genius of the hustle trap. It doesn't break your body, it breaks your sense of what matters. So, what would Machiavelli advise? He wouldn't tell you to stop working. He'd tell you to stop being proud of being used, to understand that labor without leverage is slavery in disguise, that a man obsessed with proving his worth is easy to bait, and that control isn't found in sacrifice. It's found in strategy. You don't win by working harder. You win by understanding who benefits when you do, and then deciding whether they still deserve that benefit. Because once you wake up from the illusion that work equals value, you stop being a tool and you start becoming a force. The real power doesn't belong to the ones who sweat. It belongs to the ones who decide why you're sweating. You see it everywhere. The startup founder glorifies 100-hour weeks. The pizza's motivational speaker screams about grinding while others sleep. The corporate leader hands out just enough praise to keep you addicted to performance. But all of it serves the same hidden purpose, to make your exhaustion look like ambition. It's not. It's obedience packaged as pride. This is what Machiavelli saw in every empire, every kingdom, every rising order of power. The most effective control mechanism isn't force, it's belief. If you can engineer people to believe that working hard for you is in their best interest, they will enforce their own chains. And here's how the trap tightens. You're told that quitting the grind means falling behind, that resting means someone else is outpacing you, that if you pause, someone hungrier will take your place. But Machiavelli would ask, who gave you that idea? And what do they gain by making you believe it? Because here's what they'll never admit. The top does not hustle. The top designs. The hustle. They build systems. They set traps. They feed dreams to the masses. Dreams that keep you working on a treadmill, believing you're on a staircase. And they know exactly how to make you blame yourself when you burn out. You think, maybe I didn't want it badly enough, or maybe I didn't work hard enough, or even maybe I just need to suffer more. You internalize the failure, never realizing that the game was rigged from the start because the truth is, no amount of hustle can replace position, and no level of sacrifice can override structure. Machiavelli wrote that people must either be used or broken, and in the modern world, being used feels safer because at least it comes with praise, recognition, mild comfort, but it still leaves you drained, hollow, replaceable, and the worst part, you start to police others who won't buy in. You judge the man who rests. You resent the woman who refuses the 80-hour week. You mock those who choose peace over pressure, because deep down, if their choice is valid, yours starts to feel like a mistake. So you defend your chains because you've confused them with your character. But Machiavelli would cut through all of that. He'd say, the man who must constantly prove his value through suffering has already lost it. Real power doesn't live in the grind. It lives in the ability to opt out of it, to say no, to redirect, to change the rules, or to create your own system entirely. And this doesn't mean laziness. This means calculated movement. The king doesn't build the castle brick by brick. He directs, he positions, He aligns others around his vision because his power doesn't come from physical labor. It comes from mental leverage. Ask yourself, when was the last time your hard work made you rich? Not your boss, not your client. You? And if the answer is never or barely, then you haven't been working. You've been mined. You were convinced to trade your energy, your years, your health for what? A ladder they own, a system you didn't design, a reward that disappears when the economy dips or the algorithm shifts. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers to control belief, not just behavior. Because once people believe that sacrifice is righteous, you no longer have to force them to obey. Shucks, they'll hustle harder than you could ever demand. They'll burn themselves alive just to light someone else's path, and they'll feel proud doing it. So, what's the escape? You have to become dangerous in a new way, not by grinding more, not by yelling louder, but by being the one in the room who's not desperate to prove themselves. When others brag about how little they sleep, you stay quiet. When others show off their 18-hour day, you ask what it's actually producing. And when someone says you just have to keep pushing, you look them in the eye and say, or I can build something where I don't have to. This isn't arrogance, it's sovereignty. You've stopped buying into the virtue of suffering. And in doing so, you've made yourself untouchable, because the person who needs nothing from the system cannot be controlled by it. And the person who doesn't flinch when accused of laziness, the person who doesn't crave validation through overwork, that person is terrifying. Not because they reject effort, but because they know exactly when to walk away from pointless struggle. They work, but they work to own, not to serve. They strive, but only for something that can't be taken from them. And they understand what most never will. That freedom isn't found in how hard you grind. It's found in what you refuse to grind for. The cruel genius of the hustle trap is that it doesn't just exhaust you, it distracts you while you're chasing perfection in your craft, arguing for raises, fine-tuning your time blocks, and measuring your self-worth in how much you can endure. The real power players are moving in silence. They're not asking how to work more. They're asking, who can I get to work for me? This is the Machiavellian mind, cold, clear, unbothered by moral illusions. While the masses compete to be seen as the hardest working, the strategist competes for influence, ownership, and leverage, the Gaslighting currencies that actually decide how much work even matters. But here's the harsh truth. Most people never escape the hustle trap because they're addicted to the identity it gives them. They don't know who they are outside of it. The grind is not just a schedule, it's a personality. I don't have time to rest. I'm always working. I'm busy chasing the dream. But what is that dream? For many, it's vague, just some abstract concept of success that never arrives. It's not owned, it's not defined, it's just chased. This is what Machiavelli would call weaponized ambition, when your desire to succeed becomes the very thing that ensures you never will. You become easy to predict, easy to use, easy to feed. They give you tasks and you call it progress. They give you promotions and you call it growth. They give you visibility and you call it legacy, but all they've done is keep you chasing instead of stopping long enough to realize you're on a leash. Here's the Machiavellian pivot. Stop thinking like a laborer. Start thinking like a king. King doesn't ask, how can I work more hours? He asks, how can I build something that outlasts me? How can I make others align with my goals without ever needing to command them? It's not about avoiding work. It's about moving from manual to strategic, because effort alone is a commodity. But vision, that's rare. That's what people will follow, fund, and protect. So ask yourself, what have you built that cannot be taken? What system do you own that works even when you don't? What are you doing that actually multiplies your time rather than drains it? Because if your hustle only works when you show up, then you don't own your time. You've just leased your body. And that's the quiet slavery, horror of modern ambition, the illusion of progress while you remain in place. Now, here's the next level, social reinforcement. You're not just trapped by your own mindset. You're trapped by the people around you who are addicted to the same game. They brag about not sleeping. They romanticize burnout. They guilt trip you for taking a break. They measure your worth by how grindy you seem. And because you don't want to appear soft, you perform for them. You suffer visibly. You stay busy loudly. You conform quietly, all while believing you're different. But you're not different. You're just another actor in a system that feeds on your need to be seen. The Machiavellian doesn't play this game. He doesn't compete on virtue. He competes on results. And when everyone else is burning fuel for claps, he's burning fuel for infrastructure. When others are chasing applause, he's building something they'll one day beg to be part of. Because here's the truth. No one will remember how hard you worked. They'll remember what you built. Not how long you sat in front of a screen. Not how many all-nighters you pulled, but what you left behind when you were done. And if all you leave behind is the legacy of exhaustion, of constant striving, of never enough, then you were not free. You were just well behaved. And the world doesn't reward obedience. It uses it. So from this point forward, you must pivot. You stop measuring your value by hours. You start measuring it by impact. You stop competing for recognition. You start in designing systems of relevance. You stop selling your time like a beggar. You start moving like an owner, even if all you own is a single strategic idea. Because once you do, everything shifts. You no longer panic when others seem to outwork you. You no longer chase speed. You chase scale. And you no longer need praise because you've built something that speaks louder than your voice ever could. And that's when you escape the trap. Not because you stopped working, but because you finally started working for yourself. Here's what they'll never teach you in school, in work, or in any motivational seminar. The people at the top don't hustle for power. They design ecosystems where everyone hustles for them. They build invisible ladders and they let others die trying to climb them because they know it's not about how hard you work. It's about where your work goes. And for most people, it goes upward, feeding someone else's legacy. The founder, the investor, the brand, the algorithm. You build, you sacrifice, you give everything. And at the end, you don't own what you made. You were just a part of it. This is what Machiavelli would call a functional pawn. Useful, ambitious, even brilliant, but ultimately disposable. Why? Because pawns are focused on movement, but kings are focused on position. And if you're always moving, always grinding, always reacting, you never have time to think long enough to ask, where is this actually taking me? That's not a flaw. It's the feature. The more they keep you busy, the less dangerous you are. Because stillness is what reveals strategy, and they can't afford for you to get strategic. So they glorify the grind. They meme it. They build an entire aesthetic around hustle culture. They make you wear your burnout like a badge of honor. And in that blur of activity, they never have to worry that you'll see what's behind the curtain. Here's the Machiavellian revelation. The Yumber ultimate power move is not working more. It's making your work count more than anyone else's. Because your time is limited. Your energy is finite, but your structure that's scalable. A well-placed boundary will protect you longer than a sleepless night. A single no can secure more freedom than a year of yeses. And while one system, one network, one ownership or model can replace thousands of hours of mindless hustle. But most never reach that. Why? Because they're afraid of what happens if they stop moving. They fear stillness. They fear missing out. They fear becoming irrelevant. And most of all, they fear facing the truth. They've built their identity around being useful to someone else's machine. And once you see that clearly, you have a choice to make. Do you keep running, or do you stop cold, unapologetic, and start building your own? This is where you start to terrify the system. When you stop competing in their game and start architecting your own, you begin setting rules, filtering input, choosing your battles, and watching how others, still trapped in the grind, mock you, doubt you, question your discipline. But you won't flinch because you've moved beyond discipline. You've entered design, where your decisions aren't reactive. They're intentional, where you don't hustle for freedom. You design freedom first and let your hustle follow only if it amplifies that freedom. And most won't understand that. They'll call you lucky. They'll say you sold out. They'll tell you that real work means pain, hustle, and stress. But Machiavelli would smirk, because the ones who mock freedom are usually the ones most terrified to claim it. And that brings us to the final truth, the closing move of this masterclass, not just how to escape the hustle trap, but how to become the person who no longer can be trapped again. Here's the final truth, the one the system hopes you never figure out. Once you've escaped the hustle trap, you become a threat, not because you're stronger, not because you're louder, but because you're no longer dependent. You no longer crave recognition for how hard you work. You no longer beg for permission to rest. You no longer accept that value must be proven through exhaustion. And in a world addicted to motion, your stillness becomes terrifying, because stillness is where real power begins. Stillness allows you to see what others miss, who's profiting off your grind, what you're really building, where the leverage lies, and why the game was never about effort but about extraction. You now start to move like a strategist. You speak less, you listen more. You don't rush to prove yourself, because your value no longer comes from what you give away, but from what you withhold. This is what Machiavelli meant when he warned against being too available, too eager, too obedient. He wasn't against effort. He was against effort without control. Because labor without leverage is servitude, and ambition without ownership is just performative struggle. So now you shift